welcome to the Live Courageously podcast show, episode number 78. I'm your host, John Duffy, and Live Courageously has been the conscious theme of my life for the last 3 years, since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, and it's been an unconscious theme for most of my life. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. There is something contagious about someone who is courageous. Today's show is with a friend, my guest, Gora, who has lived an adventurous and creative life. He is a director and producer of branded entertainment. He is also a TV and film director, producer, and sought-after expert in product placement. Two of his award-winning TV series, The Romance and VCs in a Van, what a title, have received nominations at the American Reality TV Awards, the San Diego Film Awards, and others. The Romance has gathered a Best Reality Series Award. His programs have aired both locally and nationally on Cox TV, Time Warner, Dish Network, Amazon TV, Apple TV, and others. And as a feature film producer, he has worked on such films as Almighty Zeus, Move Me No Mountain, and The Master Chief. His current project is completion of a TV fashion series and documentary called Fashionopa, and a new feature film. So with that, greetings, Ken, and welcome to Live Courageously. Thanks for joining us.
John, good to be here. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Hey, you're very welcome, man. I always like to kick off the show with two questions. One is to ask the guest, and most of the guests are people I know in the real world, not on social media. So I always ask, how do we first connect? How do we first meet? So that's my first question for you.
Well, we had the pleasure of meeting on the set of a feature film called Paradise Cove, which was originated and directed by a good friend of ours, Martin Gigi. You were one of the producers of that film, and I worked on some of the product placement. And boy, you talk about having a large, good crew. That was a good crew, and they covered every part of the production.
Yeah, it was a great introduction. It was a great chance when I met you and talked about what you're doing. And we'll talk more about that with your product placement and all the other endeavors that you had. Martin Gigi is obviously a close friend, and there'll be another moment that we'll talk about something else that we both enjoy. But, my other question before I go deeper into that is, since the show is Live Courageously, what does that mean to you? What's your impression of that concept?
I love that title, John. For me, living courageously means living a life of taking some chances and doing what you can that can make an impact on people's lives. You and I also play basketball.
Well, that's where I was going to go there.
Yeah, I know you're going to go there later, but
let's go there now. That's good. I like that.
Sometimes you just got to go to the hoop, because if you just sit back always, it's not going to come to you. So living courageously means going to the hoop, taking chances, and trying to make a difference in people's life.
Going to the hoop. I like that. And me and you haven't had a chance to play a game together. I'm looking forward to that moment.
We'll do that someday.
Me, you, and Martine. What's your experience with basketball? Did you grow up with it? Did you play high school, college, or was it just a passion?
I played intramural games in high school and college. I never played for the team.
Right.
I never thought of trying out for the team, partially because I wasn't sure I wanted to dedicate my afternoons and evenings and practice and things like that. But I always felt like I was a good player. And I've played everywhere in the country, John. I used to travel for a living as a corporate recruiter, and I would be in pickup games in Georgia and Alabama and Chicago and San Francisco and Denver. I still play once or twice a week with tennis. I love the game.
Well, I love it. I got reintegrated. I grew up on the street playing street ball. I dropped out of high school, so I played street ball in the Bronx. And Martine got me back in. I had blown an Achilles 10 years before I was on a movie with him, and he asked me to start playing basketball with him on the set. And I was like, really? I'm the line producer. And of course, he talked me into it, and we started playing. And then I started playing weekly with him on a league that he set up. So for the last 12 years, we played basketball once a week. So yeah, it's a passion. It's a love. I always say I have this a dream that, I'm going to go out taking one more shot, maybe I'm 90, 95, it'll go in, and that will be me. That'll be the end, So
yeah.
That's my.
I started playing street ball in Chicago, so I get it.
Nice. So let's pivot a little bit further. Tell us a little bit about your background. And like you said, you talked about, taking chances and going to the hoop and taking chances in life. How did you start out, and what got you into this industry as a creative, as a producer, as a director? What took you down this path? Tell us a little bit of the backstory of Ken.
Yeah, thanks, John. Most of this podcast will spend talking about television and film because I think that's what people want to hear. But my original background is I got my master's degree and doctorate degree in psychology.
Wow.
So, that's people understanding and knowing how to work with people, I think, has helped me in every profession I've been in. But over the years, I've had a number of professions. I've been a corporate recruiter. I've been a VP of human resources. I've been a sales rep for a technology company. I've been a speaker, traveling, doing motivational speeches.
Wow.
But how I got into the film business was back in 99, 2000, the economy was a little rough. There weren't many jobs, and people were looking for jobs, and companies were looking for revenue. So I got an idea of something called the VP contest. And the VP contest was like a sales contest where 5 different companies would get 15 salespeople selling their products, and whoever sold the most would win a VP position.
Okay.
And so it was like American Idol, except in sales.
Huh.
And as I held this contest, I thought, you know what? This would make some entertaining television. I had no background or real interest in film and TV. I just thought, you know what? This would be an interesting TV show. So, and John, you've been on more movie sets than I have. As you know, sometimes it makes sense to hire people who are better than you, right?
Yeah, I would say most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. So I found an ace cameraman and another assistant cameraman and a great editor. And I knew I was good at managing people and telling people what to do. So we made a TV show called So You Think You Can Sell. Think of So You Think You Can Dance, right? But
I like it.
So You Think You Can Sell. And it was about 15 men and women competing for a VP sales position. And the cameraman took care of their job. The editor and mic people and sound and lighting took care of their job. I just told people what to do. Now, the good news is it was reality TV.
Right.
So I didn't have to pay attention to scripts or write a script. I just had to make sure it was entertaining, and people basically did what they did. So that's how I got into it.
So, I mean, it's a great title. It's a fascinating way to like you said, to go from psychology, going from business, motivational speaking, all those different endeavors. And then, you do this idea, and this idea leads to a reality show. And then what happens next? Now, this is your first time entry into TV and the entertainment industry. What does that do to you? And why do you keep going from there down that path?
Well, I was fortunate that a previous colleague of mine that used to be a sales manager, he knew somebody at Cox Television.
Okay.
And he said to the head of Cox TV in San Diego, he said, "Hey, I got a guy that's got a TV program that helps people make money, get jobs, and helps businesses get sales. Would you want to air it and help stimulate the economy with us?" And they said yes. So we aired 6 episodes on Cox and Time Warner Cable. It got an audience. Social media loved it. So then I thought, I've got another idea for a show. And this was completely different. Over the years, I had watched The Bachelor, right?
Okay.
And I thought, that's a good show, but that's kind of unfair. One guy, 30 women. I thought, what if you had an equal number of men and women? And so then you'd have the dynamics of, 10 personalities in the men, 10, 12 personalities in the women. Who ends up falling in love with who? It's not just about one guy. And so I put together a TV show, another reality show called The Romance. And it was about studying how do people fall in love, except you have kind of a bigger laboratory. You've got 10 men and 10 women to watch on camera.
Interesting.
And as you can imagine, you've got with 20 people, you got all sorts of personalities and dates. And you'll appreciate this because that's how I met you in product placement.
Right.
How do I finance this thing? Well, I got some investors. I put some of my money into it, but I paid most of it through product placement. I thought, you know what? These people got to go on dates. I bet your restaurants would like to be on television, and they'd pay to get new customers. And then I got Aston Martin to be the car. I got wine companies and beer companies to be featured, right, with people drinking on dates. So I sold a bunch of product placement, and that show did really well.
So let's take a moment and go into this, since you brought this up, for people who may or may not know what product placement is, whether it's on reality shows or feature films. You obviously took that idea to fund your reality show with product placement and get sponsors. And then you kind of branched with that over time into creating a company and branded entertainment, which I'm going to throw up if I can, the banner for that for you. Basically, that's your contact information, branded entertainment. And so tell us a little bit about what that is, what product placement is, what got you to form that company. And let's go into that a little bit, and then we'll pivot back to another reality show you did. But let's go with this for a minute.
Yeah. So I remember from watching films and TV shows, and I saw that in the James Bond films, Aston Martin paid money to be the car in James Bond. And when James Bond looked at his watch, that watch company paid money, and et cetera, et cetera. So I studied that, and I saw that, brands, besides having television commercials or being in magazines, there's nothing like being in a film or a TV show. Why? Because sometimes when there's a TV commercial, people go to the bathroom or people start talking to the person next to them. But if you're in an actual episode or an actual film, the eyes are glued to the screen. So if 2 people are on a date or at a restaurant and you see a close-up of a wine label, or you see someone walk onto the screen and they've got an athletic suit on or a cool-looking hat or a pair of sunglasses, repetition is the mother of memory. So brands will pay money to have their product or their service shown. And I say product, I also said service. So you see people going into a restaurant. You see people going into a massage parlor. You see people visiting, et cetera, et cetera.
So and that's so true. And then obviously, that's led to a way for people to, and it goes across the line from studios, obviously, who have an easier time with using product placement and branding because they have a bigger audience. And so products want to be in those studio large movies that reach a large audience. But sometimes even independent movies are able to get product or some financing, but at least product to use in the movie to cut some of the costs. And so it's a benefit to even independent filmmakers. And I know we've done it, and that's part of how we met as well, talking about some of the possibilities with getting a product sponsorship for independent films. So go a little further on that.
Just another quick example. If you remember when American Idol was in its prime, you would see cans of Coca-Cola just sitting on the judge's table.
Correct.
Over and over and over. And so, imagine if a brand new energy drink had done that, or a soda that wasn't known, the exposure they would have gotten. So it's just, and like you said, what it costs to have your product in a James Bond film is way different than a film budget of $1 million, or an indie filmmaker on a budget of $200,000 can supplement that with $30,000, $60,000, $100,000 of different products and different locations paying to be there.
Exactly. So there is that benefit. And so then and we're going to come back to some of the other things because there's so much to cover. But so what got you to then take off with that and turn that into another career or another business entrepreneur a journey for yourself with branded entertainment? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, besides directing and producing films and TV shows that I created, originated, if I saw the opportunity with a filmmaker or TV show for product placement, I might reach out to them and say, hey, I think I can get a product or sponsor into your show, and I just ask a fee for doing that. And you get to keep a majority of the revenue. Am I answering that question correct?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So I've launched a career doing that also. And part of it is, I have to feel like I can succeed and help my customer. So I can't do that for every film and TV show.
100%. Well, let me just shift back to your reality. You also did, which I thought was an interesting title, and I'm curious as to what it was and what you did with it. But you did a reality show right here, VCs in a Van, and it won some awards. And that's a picture of you with it. When did that come about, and what was that? Because obviously, once again, creative title, interesting concept.
So after the romance won a couple awards and was nominated and had success and had an audience. So, now you've got some followers, right? You've got an audience and you have a connection with a major TV network that's always looking for content. So I thought, what next? Well, I've always been a fan of Shark Tank, right? Good show. Been a fan of Shark Tank. And I've been involved working with startups and involved with technology companies. So I reached out to a venture capitalist that I saw in San Diego. His name's Neil. And I told him, Neil, I have an idea for a show that features venture capitalists in business, but with a little twist to it. And he brought on a gentleman named Mark and a gentleman named Tom, and they were the three VCs. So VC stands for venture capitalists. That's Mark, Tom, and Neil to the left of me. And the twist that they put together with it is, let's go to the business. Instead of the business standing on stage and saying, oh, look at these slides. Look why you should invest in us. Products are flying out the door. No, let's go to your door and see the products fly out. So they would get in a Mercedes van, the three VCs, and we would film them in the van, and they would go to the business. They would go to the place where it all happens, and they would hear the pitch and see behind the scenes of what the business looked like. So if you made widgets, they want to see how the widgets are made. They want to see the order fulfillment, right? So the concept of VCs in the van is, let's look at startup companies that are looking for money, but let's really go and look at where it's happening, and not just in front of a nice room and a guy or girl in a suit pitching to us.
And what year was VCs in a van? Did you start that?
I'm trying to think. I think it aired first in 2019 or 2018.
Okay, so pretty recently. Well, it's kind of funny because there was a period there, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. Some of the audience may be. There was a period there that was like a wave of business reality shows. Everything from Undercover Boss to
right.
Going in and rescuing businesses that were failing. I forget some of the multiple names, but there was like, for a while there, it was like so many business-oriented, entrepreneurial-oriented reality shows. And I used to watch all of them. I enjoyed all of them at the time. And then it's kind of died off and new things, took over in the reality world. I don't know if there's too many business entrepreneurial shows anymore on reality. At least I haven't, except Shark Tank, which has maintained its, ongoing thing, but there hasn't been a lot of them since. I don't know what's your take on that? Is it just kind of like anything? It goes through cycles and goes through phases.
I think it goes through cycles. I don't see the rush of reality shows that we did back in the day. And but we filmed 6 episodes, and I think 4 of the 6 companies, there's one company per episode we dedicated, and 4 of the 6 companies got investments. And we thought about doing a season 2, but then the pandemic hit, and working on other projects now.
I hear you. Well, let's shift a little bit to some of those other projects and also other areas. So besides reality TV and TV series, you also moved into feature films and started, a couple of different films. I mean, I don't know if the first one was what you call it, Almighty Zeus. Was that the first one you were involved in, or was there previous to that? Tell us a little bit about that.
I had done some short films. The best one was called Love in a Lifetime. And just a note about that, John, you'll appreciate that. We intentionally filmed Love in a Lifetime where only one sentence is spoken in the entire film.
Wow.
So we wanted to show through the power of cinematography how a story can be told. There's a narrator for the first 3 minutes that takes people to what's going on.
Right.
But for the most of the 12-minute film, you're just watching people interact and letting the actors and the music tell the story. So, answer to your question, I worked on Paradise Cove and product placement. I worked on another film, but the first feature film that I got more directly involved with was Almighty Zeus. A gentleman in San Diego, Chris Soriano, wrote this film. He was the lead director and he was the lead actor. And he saw it as a San Diego local-based version of Rocky. And except it told it from a Filipino standpoint, and it was right when the pandemic had started. So there was an element about discrimination, and I don't want to spoil too much the film, but it's a Rocky story and well shot, great cinematography, great storyline. And in 2023 at the San Diego Film Awards, it won Best Feature Film.
Oh, congratulations. And was this the picture from the
Yes.
award? Yes.
Yes, that's Chris, his wife, Hillary, and I with two of the awards we won.
Congratulations.
And one of those was Best Feature. Thanks.
Well,
and so I was involved on a number of things in that film as a producer and then on the marketing end of it.
Excellent. Excellent.
And then go ahead, but I could segue that into their next film.
Well, let's do that. Let's segue into the next one and let's take it there.
So Chris told me about another idea he had for a film, higher budget, more in depth. It so happened that his father had served in the U.S. Navy. My father had served in the U.S. Navy. And as you know, in San Diego, we're very close to Coronado.
I've visited there. I got behind the scenes tours, Yeah. So yes, you are.
Large naval base. And so we had the support of them. And through some networks, he told me about a film idea he had called The Master Chief. Actually, The Master Chief Part 1. And for those who don't know, the Master Chief is a key position on a Navy ship. And people can look that up or watch the movie. And he told me the storyline, and he said, Ken, if you can help with locations and maybe casting and then promotions and be on set. And this time the crew was a larger crew than Almighty Zeus. This crew was similar to the crew that I saw at Paradise Cove. John, where they're unloading a truck, right?
Right.
A truck of equipment to set up. And, there's a guy whose job is to hold the slate, right?
That's right.
And there's someone assigned for everything. And I was like, all right, we're in the real deal again. And we filmed on a battleship, the USS Iowa. And I was like, wow, this is major movie making. And when we were done, I took a look at it. And, before it ever appeared in theaters, gave Chris feedback. I said, again, excellent cinematography, great direction. And by the way, for those filmmakers out there, this is something to think about. Sometimes you start with an idea and then you launch based on the love of the idea. The other way to do it is have an idea, but also have a market. And as you know, John, the military and veterans and existing service, that's a huge market of people who have fought and served for our country.
100%.
So we knew that by the virtue of what this film was about, thousands and thousands of people would see it simply because it's a military film. Horror films are great, and there's a huge audience for horror films, but there's a lot of horror films.
Yeah, too many maybe.
Maybe so.
But
and it's tough to have an original idea, but we knew we had an original idea for a military-based movie, and we launched it on Veterans Day last November and saluted so we got lots of free publicity because of Veterans Day and because of the affiliation with Coronado and the military.
Well, let me ask you, would you mind, you want me to show a little clip from the Master Chief right now?
Go ahead. Show a minute or so.
All right, let me show you a little clip, the trailer for it, and that way people can see what you created because it looks cool.
Thanks, John.
All right.
And again, Chris Soriano is the lead actor, the main writer, and the director of The Master Chief. I'm just one of the producers.
All right. And here we go. We're going to throw this up right now for us to take a look at.
What you displayed is a mixture of stupidity and bravery. It's an embarrassment It's a tragedy.
You're the new guy, right?
Everything good?
That's the first time I heard the term Filipino Mafia. I thought we were nerds in the Navy, so hearing Filipino and Mafia in the same sentence, now that was different.
Sorry, I'll clean it up.
Who invited your shipmate?
I invited myself.
Putang ina.
You're the new sailor from Stockton.
Yes.
He's a coconut.
We're getting closer to our deployment. How's everything looking?
Tony Bancroft. He's responsible for brainwashing our sailors at every port that we enter.
Hi, can I get you anything while you're waiting?
Is that what everyone else is doing?
Yeah, most likely.
Actually, I'll let you stay here and do your thing. I'm gonna go next door to Kinlin. I'll get you later.
Photo?
What?
Camera 1330.
The most important part of the day. The news about the illegal arms dealer.
Tony guy is something else, huh? I bet we could probably take him. Bet we could? That was a joke.
Something ends up missing and it's in your area, that's your ass on the line.
After that.
And there's always going to be a need for what I do.
I'm sorry.
First of all, how credible is your source?
How much you looking to get?
You being a smartass? You don't ever think? You think the captain would approve of a mission like this?
Secret mission. What is it?
We're gonna be each other's eyes and ears out there. We gotta look out for each other.
Gabe, relax. We're logistics specialists, not Navy SEALs.
Who says you gotta be a SEAL?
All right.
Yeah, John, we got it into select theaters, and then it's been on Amazon and Tubi and Apple TV. People can rent it, and it's done well for us. I even heard of some ships holding private screenings of it for their crew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So once again, people can watch it on Amazon and Tubi and where else if they want to watch it.
Apple TV also.
And somebody's commenting, Filipino Mafia is real.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And then somebody else, here's a comment from a friend up in Fresno area. There's not enough veteran movies in this generation. She's a young woman. She used to watch many classic veteran movies with her dad when she was younger, and now there hardly isn't any. Very cool.
Oh,
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, Karina, and thank you, Ken, for showing, for making this. And the other thing you mentioned, I've been on the USS Iowa many times for many different veteran programs. So, I mean, it must have been amazing to film on the USS Iowa. It's an incredible Navy vehicle ship, and if people haven't seen it, people can always go down and tour it. So it's definitely worth something to do if you're in LA and you haven't had a chance to actually go onto the USS Iowa. But you must have had a great time filming on it. I'm sure that was a blast to be on that.
Well, those guys, I mean, there's some dark places in a ship. And so how do you do the lighting so you can see the characters, but not make it look like artificial lighting's going on? So I'm just saying the crew just did a great job.
That's a fascinating point you make, right? Because people, don't realize, Navy ships, those rooms are small. They're tiny,
Yes.
Very tiny. I mean, they almost feel like prisons.
Corridors.
Right? Yeah, like a little prison cell. And then, you figure out how do you light it, make it look great and still tell the story and not look fake. Yeah, and that was some good work, obviously, for your team to do.
And then one other comment, and this from the magic of movie making. Do you remember seeing some soldiers with guns in a jungle?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We filmed that in San Diego at the San Diego Botanical Gardens. And the San Diego Botanical Gardens has like simulated gardens from all over the world. So you're in beautiful flowers over here, and all of a sudden you're in a Filipino jungle over here. So we filmed it there. And what you didn't see, again, the magic of camera work, is you never saw them walking with their feet on the ground because there's paths, right? There's paths. So you always saw them from shots of the waist up or the ankle up. Just the magic of movie making what's not really there real.
Well, I directed 2 short films called The Flag, which ended up in the GI Film Festival for a veteran buddy of mine. And, you know, it was based on Vietnam, and we had no money. It was all, most of the crew were military veterans who volunteered. I volunteered to direct it. And we filmed it in the backyard of someone's house in Westminster, Little Vietnam. And we turned his backyard into the jungles of Vietnam with no money. It was raining. It was amazing, man. It was just what we pulled off with nothing. And it just took a lot of creativity and a lot of make it happen kind of attitudes. And it was so cool. It was just so cool what you can do.
And again, to bring in branded entertainment, the restaurant we shot in, the nightclub we shot in, they're going to get new customers because people want to go there. You know, we advertise them on social media, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, this is a friend saying, you know, it looked amazing. Bravo, Ken. He's a Navy vet, but that looks so cool.
Thanks, Daniel.
Excellent. Another one that's incredible. Can't wait to watch it, Ken. I'll definitely watch it with my dad. Oh, that's so cool, Karina. That would be cool. I hope you both enjoy it. Yeah, so that's just, you know, some of the, and the reason, you know, wanted to have you on, of course, was because you've had such an adventurous career of finding a way to create stuff and produce stuff that, you know, has both entertainment value, but in the case of this, also something beyond that. So, you know, that was part of it. I know you're doing more stuff going forward. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm going to just throw up a range of, before I do that, I just want to also throw up, you won some awards, obviously, on the Master Chief, the Spirit of San Diego. You're a winner, and here's a picture of you up at the podium, I believe. Is that you? Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, at the award. So that must have been cool because, you know, it's always good to be able to not only make something like that, but then share it with an audience and be part of it with the audience while they get to enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah. No, we were honored to win the Spirit of San Diego Award, which is basically an award for the feature film that has most contributed to the understanding of the history and culture of San Diego.
Well, that was cool. I recommend people definitely, you know, get a chance to go check it out. Now, I'm going to throw up Daniel, again, thanks for what you do. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. And just to go back to some of the pictures, I mean, there's a bunch of things that you've done, you know, that I'm just going to throw pictures and you can tell us a little bit about them. This is a picture of you being interviewed. Maybe you can share a little bit about what that's about.
You had asked me, what are some of the upcoming projects you're working on? That is a still of behind the scenes of a TV show called Fashionopa. And, you know, how did a guy like me, basketball player, get interested in fashion? Well, the short story is...
Well, I like you asking yourself the question instead of me. I like it. That's good.
Yeah.
How did you? That's a good question, Ken.
While I was filming the reality show, The Romance, all these charity balls and fashion events would invite my cast because they wanted these, you know, good-looking men and women to show up because of the star power on the red carpet. And I would attend too as a director producer. And I became, that's some of the cast of The Romance. I became acquainted with these fashion designers and their amazing stories and what makes their brand different in a very competitive industry. Because, I go to the store, John, and it's like, what does a company need? Another T-shirt? I mean, what does the world need? Another athletic wear or another type of shoe? But innovation just continues. So bottom line is Fashionopa tells the story of 8 Southern California designers. 4 of them are men, 4 of them women. Each are completely unique. One does men's suits. One does women's dresses and gowns. One does lingerie. Hello. One does shoes. They crowdfunded their shoe company. Great stories. So in that picture, can you show that picture again of me with the gal in the white?
Yes.
The woman on the left is the world famous 80s and 90s supermodel. I'm sorry, 80s supermodel Kim Alexis. She has been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Vogue, Cosmopolitan. She was a fashion host at Good Morning America. And Kim is one of the guest experts who takes a look at this brand. And from a model's perspective, she gives the audience feedback on why she thinks that brand will succeed. Another guest expert is the founder of UGG. And every woman knows what UGG boots are.
Yeah, I've heard him speak at a couple of motivational events, the founder. So yeah, he's got
Brian
a great,
Smith.
It's a great story. If you haven't heard it, it's a great story.
It's a great story. It's $1 billion a year brand. So anybody in the fashion industry can listen to Brian. So that's from Fashionopa. Another
That's kind of funny, Ken. We've kind of had so many similarities in life. I mean, film, motivational speaking, fashion. Now, you won't believe this, but when I was like 15 years old in my neighborhood in the South Bronx, we were like high school dropouts, and our thing was we used to actually design our own clothes and go take them to tailors, and then they would make pants for us with all these weird designs, and we'd play basketball in these clothes. So, the idea, and when I think about it, it's like I look back and go, that's crazy. A ghetto kid designing clothes to play basketball in when I was that young. But, fashion, it affects a lot of people in so many different ways, so many different communities and cultures. So, I'm not surprised. And then
that brand could have spread.
It could. Well, now I have a website, Live Courageously, that I do have product up there. And so my life has kind of come full circle from the street, of doing that. So who knows where that'll go. But
and I see behind you that great saying, faith over fear.
Yes, sir.
So that's a saying people will wear on a hat, on a shirt.
Yeah, it's one of mine. I adopted. I didn't create it. It wasn't my invention or anything. It was during the pandemic. And that's how I started this show, Live Courageously, during the pandemic when I was up doing a movie in Canada, and so many people were living in fear, and I just felt a need to kind of put out a message of courage instead of fear, and that's when the show started. And that's when I started to develop the idea that I needed to take this message that no matter what life throws at you, you need fear is real, but courage is a choice, and that, you can overcome fear. And so that's kind of what started me on this podcast journey, as well as some other journeys. But yeah,
So Fashionopa, it's got a targeted air date on Cox, Time Warner, Apple TV, Amazon for September 8th. And we're doing everything to hit that target date for it to air. Great show, etc. The other thing
share it on your Facebook page, of course. I know you will, and then I'll share it out. I'll push it out for you as well.
Oh, thank you. And then the other thing you asked, what else am I working on? And then I'll share that, and then we'll talk about some of those other subjects like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, well, I saw that on your Facebook page, and since you're a basketball passionate, and I'm passionate about playing, not so much about watching, but playing, I figured we had to have that conversation. Well, go ahead. Tell us some more about what you're working on first.
So there's a feature film I'm working on, and there's a location in Southern California. It's an area of Southern California that hundreds of thousands of people know about. And they know about the rumors and the urban legend, but no one's ever done a movie set there. And I'm purposely not telling you the name of it.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, because sometimes it's who gets there first, right?
That's correct.
But I'm working with someone on it. We've got film permits, and it's a fascinating story, suspense, mystery, drama. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But again, from a marketing perspective, if as a filmmaker, there's having a good story, but there's also knowing you have a good story, but a built-in audience, right?
Right.
So la da da da. All right.
Well, before we get to Caitlin Clark and basketball, just a side thing. I saw also some stuff on. I don't know how much you're involved in the world of music, and then also attending the NAMM show. Is that also another, using product placement in music? What's that little piece of your life as well?
Oh boy, you surprised me with this one, and it's a good surprise, John. Big smiles on my face.
Oh, good.
So
I saw it and I was like, oh God, I forgot to mention that. And I was like, I got to talk about that. That looks interesting.
And as you know, our buddy Martin Gigi is very involved in the music business.
Oh yeah.
So what that's about is, to take you back, before all this started happening, I used to have long hair down my back in the 70s. And I was the rhythm guitar player and singer in a rock band.
Right. Wow.
And loved it.
Even more fascinating stuff to you, man.
And loved it. Loved performing, loved being on stage. But, after getting my degrees in college, it was like, am I going to make a living at this? No. I'm not Queen, right? But I've always loved music. And as you know, music is part of movies. And I've done some music videos, John. I've filmed at least 3 music videos. And here's my happiest answer to your question. I wrote, guys that love music, they've got riffs going on in their head. So I had a guitar riff in my head for years, and I put the riff down on paper, played it out with a guy on guitar, wrote some lyrics to it, and the theme song of my TV show, The Romance, the theme song is called So You Think It's Love. And it's a song I wrote.
Wow.
And I've got a music video for it that's going to come out years later. My son plays the lead character in the video.
Nice.
So that's why I was at the NAMM show, which is the National Association of Music Merchants. Martine's always at that show. Maybe you've gone to it.
No,
Anyway.
I haven't. That's one thing that I have not been blessed with, is the music skills. I love music. I love all types of music, and it keeps expanding the kind of musics I like. But I've just never been, that hasn't been part of my world, music.
One last sentence. Martin Gigi and I, and 5 other people were in a business meeting in a conference room about a music TV show. That's all I'm going to say. That was before the pandemic.
I can't wait to hear. We've done a couple of movies together, and I've gone to a lot of his. Matter of fact, I think I went to a performance that he put on for veterans on the USS Iowa with Dennis Quaid, who was in a movie that me and Martine did together. And I mean, besides him being so talented musically, his family, his 2 daughters, his son, just incredibly blessed musically as well. And I just love to see them perform. So yeah, well, I hope that project that you in that meeting with him comes to fruition. That would be very cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah, that's down the road.
Yeah,
Right.
well, there's a lot more to do. And like you said, you got to go to the hoop. You got to keep taking it to the hoop, right? That's
got to take couple risks.
That's right. If you don't do that. So that leads us to Caitlin Clark and taking it to the hoop. So let's spend a minute or two. We won't spend too long, but just jump into that because I saw a couple of posts on your Facebook page. I figured, yeah, let me go into that as well.
Well, if anybody have ever watched Sports Center at night to see any highlights on any sport, they've probably inadvertently heard of Caitlin Clark. And the bottom line is, I don't watch. Most of my life, I haven't watched college basketball. I just haven't. I haven't had time.
Right.
Many times I've watched the NBA playoffs, right? So I watched the NBA playoffs, but time is valuable. But about 3.5 years ago, either a buddy or I saw on Sports Center that a gal who was a sophomore at the University of Iowa scored 49 points, and many of the shots were from the logo. So I watched the highlights, and I was like, this is like a female Steph Curry, but even further. Right?
Right.
So I started looking for University of Iowa college basketball games on TV. And I watched her. And not only could she score from the logo, and for those that don't know what that means like 40 feet, 35 feet jump shots from far away that are worth 3 points. But she could drive to the basket. She's one of the deadliest passers in men or women's college basketball. Now she's playing professional. And I just started watching her games from an entertainment perspective. And you never know when she would make an amazing shot or game winner. And last comments about her, she led all of college basketball in scoring in women's basketball last 2 years in a row. And she beat Pistol Pete's all-time scoring record for men in college basketball of most points scored ever. And by the way, Pete didn't play as a freshman in basketball, so she did it in 4 years. He did it in 3. But still, that's a record that stood for 40 years, John.
I know. It's truly amazing. And, reason I wanted to also address it, it was like, because it reminded me 25, maybe 30 years ago, when I was in New York, I heard about this woman basketball player when the WNBA was just starting out, and it was a Puerto Rican woman from Far Rockaway, Brooklyn, and they were writing her up everywhere. ESPN was talking about her. She was a phenom. And, at this time, I just went, I'd never done a documentary, so I got a camera and I reached out to her, and she was playing in Texas. I went down and filmed her. I filmed her in Brooklyn. I went to the projects. I started filming. I was going to do this documentary about her because I was just blown away by this Puerto Rican basketball player who was changing the sport of women's basketball. Unfortunately, her career kind of like ended abruptly, and so I wasn't able to finish the story.
Okay.
But she was a really incredible ball player. But to see Caitlin Clark today, what she's doing, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and it's just phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal ball player.
Yeah, and just my last statement about her, we'll wrap things up. A lot of men and women can make a 3-point shot, especially when no one's guarding them,
sure,
or they're set, or it's right behind the line. This gal makes them with people in her face, and she steps back or she goes behind, she creates it, and it's from the logo. So that's just what makes it so different.
She just recently broke like what 3 different things in one game. So yeah, she is a phenom, without a doubt. That's going to continue. And
yeah, so yesterday on national TV, CBS, she's the first rookie ever to get a triple-double in rebounds, assists ever in women's basketball.
Totally amazing.
All right,
totally
next
amazing.
subject.
All right, next subject. Yeah,
hi, Kaylin.
So as we wrap up, there was other things that I saw and I mentioned. Feel free to talk about, fate, family, veterans, future goals, anything like that. I saw some pictures on your site, with your family. You went to a church in Europe and just I was like, wow, what a beautiful picture. And you had, wrote something on your Facebook page about this. And I just saw and I was like, wow, that is such a beautiful picture that you took there. So I just decided to show that, but feel free to take us into any of those topics as we close it out. Anything you would like to add, any takeaways, life lessons? How do you sum it up for us?
Oh, John, that picture of the cross and the mountain, that's actually at a church in San Diego. I've never been to Europe.
What's this one right here?
That's in San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. Excuse me. My bad.
Right. It brings tears to my eyes to know how God has blessed me. I had a couple major health scares 2 years ago, and the Lord was right there with me, and I'm fine. I'm still playing basketball and tennis. So
right on. Amen.
God is with me every day. I talk to him morning and night. And he was with me before I ever had a health scare. Family, I'm blessed with a son and a daughter in their 20s. My son is 6'4", blocks my shot whenever he wants to. Could jump like a gazelle. My beautiful daughter is getting married in October, and so I am blessed.
Well, amen to that, and glad that you got through those moments, and to be blessed with that. I think that's some of the things in life for people to realize what's really important. Is those things. Family especially is so important to life. And being able to live a good life. So congratulations on that. Any other things you would like to give us as a takeaway? Any life lessons? Any close that you would like to share? Like I said, you've lived a very adventurous life, and you continue, and you keep going to the hoop, and that's what hopefully me and you are going to continue to do, both on and off the basketball court. We're going to keep taking it to the hoop. And so, any closing from you that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, just I love the theme "Live Courageously." And that cap in the back that says faith over fear. Courage means even when there's fear, you sometimes step forward. You may not have all the answers. It may be scary, but you do it anyway because you have one life to live. The other thing I wanted to say to the people in the film industry and TV industry that are watching is, besides your good idea, make sure you understand the value and importance of marketing. There are many Einsteins out there, but we've never heard of them because they didn't know how to market their Einsteinness. So what makes it better or different is the question to ask. And again, back to Caitlin Clark, as I said, many people can hit three-pointers, but it is the way she did it that attracted the audience. And that's why she's got all these endorsements and is breaking records and things like that. So thank you for having me, John. And I look forward to seeing you again in person soon.
Hey, thank you for sharing everything that you shared, your journey, your insights, your experiences. I think the audience, it was definitely very entertaining and educational for me to listen to the stuff you shared. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being part of this. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon as well. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
I'm going to close out the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is his company, Branded Entertainment. You can go check it out. And if you want more information, right here where you can reach it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed all the things that he shared with you, both in the film industry, entertainment industry, basketball, help, family, fate, veteran support, all that good stuff. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And if you haven't seen my previous 77 podcasts with some of the amazing, courageous friends sharing their powerful stories of overcoming odds and going on to live powerful lives and making a difference, you can watch them on my John Duffy Live Courageously YouTube channel, or you can also watch them on my website, livecourageously.com. And here is the QR code, so you can check them out there. So until next week, and join me, and when I have another courageous friend on, I hope you have a great day, and may you make your life a masterpiece, and God bless.